gentlemen, welcome to yet another exciting episode of The Debater. As we move on close towards the grand finale, towards the championship, we're ready to find out which of the two teams will proceed around to the next round. And the topic that will be battled here today is whether or not the United Nations Security Council should be expanded. And proposing the topic, we have with us St. Mary's Convent, Mathura.
Hi, I'm Nini Amma Mapalagaman, and we are here to exercise our right to speak, and we represent St. Mary's Convent, Mathura. See you in the next round. Hi, I'm Kavina Sarasinghe from St. Mary's Convent, Mathura. So I'm the first speaker today. So we are going to prove the world's reality and the truth here today. Hi, I'm Sudhima from St. Mary's Convent, Mathura. Happy to be here back with the debater once again, and hope you guys enjoy the battle today. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mariam Zahir. I'm the fourth speaker and the captain of Team St. Mary's Convent, the proposing team. Hope you'll enjoy the arguments envisaged.
And our opposition for today will be Kingswood College, Kandy.
I'm Secretary Sekara, defending the honor of Kingswood.
Representing Kingswood College, I am Abdul Aziz, fighting for the fame of Kingswood. Kingswood forever.
Hello, I'm Umair, and I'm here to prove that we honor our oath, none for himself, but all for the school.
Hi, I'm Asif Maujud, the third speaker of the Kingswood debaters, representing the Vale of Kingswood.
Without further ado, let me introduce to you our eminent panel of judges. We have with us Mr. Peshan Gunaratna, having graduated from the University of Colombo, the University of London, as well as the Law College. He's currently a lecturer at the University of Colombo, Department of International Relations. We also have with us Mr. Sajid Amendra, a well-known figure when it comes to the world of debating. He was the captain of the Royal College debating team while having coached the World Schools debating team for 3 years. He's also a graduate from the University of Colombo. We also have with us Ms. Anuradha Herat, a well-known figure when it comes to the arenas of mass media as well as journalism. Having graduated from the Columbia School of Journalism, she is currently the director of the Sri Lanka School of Journalism. We're ready to start off round 2 of the debater. This will be the opening statements. Proposition, the floor is now yours.
Honorable panel of judges and my dear members of the position, opening you the path to think vividly and logically as a real human regarding this humanitarian problem. First and foremost, let me raise this question. Is the world truly secured? If the world is truly secured, there won't be any war situations and threats in the current world. As examples, we can mention that problems and war situations with the Gulf states, current dividences and nuclear controversial situations, Israel-Palestine controversy, and many other controversial situations within the other regions of the world. So, if the Security Council is able to control peace and maintain these problems, there won't be any struggles and conflicts. And why the Security Council fails to give practical and implementable solutions for these problems which are long outstanding? My dear worthy members of the position, United Nations Security Council is one of the principal organs of the United Nations, is in charge with the international peace and security, and its power outlined in establishment of peacekeeping operations, establishment of international sanctions, and when necessary, the authorization of military action. So, do you believe that through only implementing these 3 methods, the peace within the whole wide world could be implemented and could be done? So, my dear friends, even a 4-year child can understand how impractical this is. So, this is not a practical thing. So, that is why that we are emphasizing that it should be expanded, and Security Council must have a proper expansion in a well manner. So, when talking about the expansion of itself, it should be improved in 2 major ways. The first one is the expansion of the memberships, and the second one is expansion of the charter to seek solutions for the most effective and most prevailing problems that are in the present world. So, when talking about the provisional rules and regulations, the procedure and the provisional rules and regulations of this council is totally organized and outdated. So it should be expanded. And furthermore, it is clear that amendments compulsorily are to be available through expansion of its activities.
Good evening. Let me start off by agreeing with the definitions brought on by the proposition. Now, ladies and gentlemen, why expand the United Nations Security Council? For that, there must be a serious lack of representation. But is there actually a serious lack of representation in the UN Security Council? Well, let us take a look at the members of the UN Security Council and their representation. First, we have the 5 superpowers who represent the Asia-Pacific group, the Western Europe group, and the Eastern Europe group. Then, we have the non-permanent members. Let me take some examples to show the present representation of the non-permanent members. Guatemala and Colombia are Latin American representatives. India and Pakistan are Asia-Pacific representatives. Morocco is an Arab representative, while South Africa and Togo are African representatives. Thus, it is clear that there is no lack of representation whatsoever. But then, why are we having so many drawbacks in the UN Security Council? Like the ongoing humanitarian disaster in Syria, where the Security Council is helpless, as it was in the case of Burma, Rwanda, and Bosnia as well. My dear friends, although Morocco is there as a present non-permanent member to represent Syria, they do not have the actual power to involve in serious decision-making. Why? Because their vote gets overridden by a single veto power, like Russia. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is clear that the Security Council lacks not representation, but it lacks democracy. And thus, expansion of the members will not help in any way. Now, you may ask, why not expand the permanent members? Well, the original motive of the veto power was to prevent another world war. But that was in the 1950s, ladies and gentlemen, after a post-World War situation where the circumstances were volatile. But now, today, times have changed. This is 60 years later. And as the proposition pointed out, the veto power is being misused presently by the permanent members for their own petty political agendas. So comes the question, what is the real need here? On one hand, they have the need to expand where there is already sufficient representation. On the other hand, we here have a serious case of democracy where the representative countries cannot involve in serious decision-making process in the UN Security Council and thus needs total democracy, which leads to reformation and which will be explained by my team members. Thank you.
Honorable panel of judges and other ladies and gentlemen. Presently being a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, India has said that the 15-nation United Nations Security Council must be expanded to include about 10 more members. India's permanent representative to the UN, Hardeep Singh Puri, said that India is of the view that reform and expansion are essential if it is to reflect contemporary reality. Puri outlined that India's view that an expanded council must have a total of 25 to 26 members. His statement was, "The clamor of such change is increasing by the day. Even as we speak, concrete developments are being witnessed in other international institutions such as the World Bank and the IMF. After laying out the foundation for emphasizing the essentiality of the expansion of the member states of the Security Council today, let me bring out to you several points. Firstly, there's a growing imbalance between the developing and developed members' representation in the Council today. 4/5 permanent members are industrialized, giving Africa more member state, more permanent member, and also Middle East is a step forward in the North-South imbalance. This North-South imbalance is vividly shown by this map, and Australia, parts of the globe today. And why is there North-South imbalance, which is vividly clear from this map? Therefore, that's why we say that the member states must be expanded in the way that the Security Council is having in the world today. And secondly, a rise in UN membership should be reflected also in an increase in the Security Council members. In 1945, there were 51 UN members, so 11 Council members were adequately representing all voices. Today, the UN membership has risen to almost 4 times, but yet the Security Council today has only 15 voices. Therefore, important views of countries that are not represented are greatly neglected. And therefore, we thoroughly emphasize the fact that the United Nations Security Council must be expanded, and it ought to be expanded.
Yes, United Nations Security Council should not be expanded, ladies and gentlemen. The proposition kept on saying that what should be done is expansion of the body, which is with an executive power and enough representation rather than democratizing. So the learned members of the proposition say that when there is representation and at the same time when the veto power is misused, when considering countries like America, you still want to give the misused power, veto power, to more superpowers, which will only make the situation more critical. So let me prove to you saying that instead of that, what should happen is trying to prevent the misuse of veto power. So we should bring in democracy and not expansion, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take a small example. In a certain country, the cabinet formed in 1945 consists of enough members representing the entire population, which is not functioning properly and is corrupted, and work done expected from them is below par. So in order to increase the productivity of the so-called cabinet, the government proposes expansion of the cabinet by including more representatives from the public as ministers. Is this a wise move, ladies and gentlemen? Absolutely no. And why? Because what should be done is not increasing number of members as it is already sufficient, but removing the flaws, avoiding corruption, reform it in order for a better productivity and democratize. This is exactly what the Security Council requires in order to achieve democracy. So to achieve democracy, we bring out 3 suggestions, ladies and gentlemen. Let me elaborate on the first suggestion. Ladies and gentlemen, our first reformation, our first suggestion, democratizing. And why are we suggesting? Ladies and gentlemen, let me show you the reason for this reformation and why we need to give equal powers to permanent and non-permanent countries rather than expanding. Take the case of Syria, where all the non-permanent members supported the motion and 4 out of 5 permanent members supported the motion, but this motion was vetoed by Russia because Russia wanted to continue an economic deal with Syria, which they did not want to conclude. So as to what respected proposition say, if we add more about 100 members to the council, but still that will get vetoed by a single P5 member. So ladies and gentlemen, what's the point of expansion when the consent of majority will always get overruled by superpowers for the petty political purpose? So finally I conclude saying that UN Security Council should not be expanded, but reform, democratize.
As we wrap up the opening statements, both the proposition and the opposition have laid down the foundations upon which their future arguments will be based on. While keeping that in mind, let's move into an extremely short commercial break. Stay tuned.